is up in arms.
Attention, people of Earth, I have an important announcement to make.
This is insane.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Every kiss, every hug seems to act just like a drug. You're getting to be a habit with me. Let me stay in your arms. I'm addicted to your charms. You're getting to be a habit with me.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Oh, no.
After he's stalked, we must get rid of him immediately.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale.
Good morning. Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
The only station that matters.
Thank you, folks. Thank you very, very much.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
I had to do that again because I forgot to do the thing, and I still had the X checked. That means nothing to you, just like this map of Ukraine, and don't believe the media. I had to cross out the 2 because I changed that sentence when I was writing it. And to have gone back, it wasn't layered, so I would have had to recreate the graphic completely. And it's bad enough it exactly didn't fit in the title card. But just for your reference, Kiev is over to the east. Europe, that's Europe way. Okay? Ukraine is not a part of NATO, is not a part of the EU, by the way, yet. Okay? And this Donbass region, right? And you can see Crimea below is the, barely cut off here on the map. But as you can see, this is Russia. So from Crimea all the way around that whole area, Ukraine's lucky Russia doesn't decide even to come down to about the E in Ukraine on that map. And I don't care what people say. I know this is going to be, controversial. It's not controversial. It's fact. Putin was right. This whole demonization of Putin, forever. Yeah, he's an ex-KGB agent. And we have CIA agents that kill people for a living. I watched some guy, one of the guys who was doing the live broadcast, who I liked from Canada. He said yesterday he didn't understand what the term Banana Republic meant. And then I looked at him and I realized, the dude's probably only in his 40s. And of course you wouldn't understand that because you're a child of the 80s. And it's like all these BLM and Antifas and all these other kids. In other words, they don't even know there was a civil rights movement, a Vietnam War, a feminist movement. And they don't even know about that the UK. It's a banana republic because the CIA was operating basically a fruit company, banana company, and using that to take over, have coups and kill all kinds of people in, down south of the border. So if the U.S. goes in to a foreign country and doesn't ask anybody, we don't even have any reason to be there, right? Like we invade Iraq for weapons of mass destruction that they didn't have, while Colin Powell holds up his own personal vial of cocaine and pretends that's some kind of poison. Yeah, that was a real trip. Some cop should have basically taken that, tested it, and said, hey, man, you're under arrest. In the UN building, no less. But how many places has the U.S. Just gone in and taken over? Right? Well, you can't. The list is so long, you can't even mention it. In this case, they're not taking over everything. Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union. In this particular eastern part, these are Russians. They speak Russian. I did a video on this already. They are Russians. They have Russian culture. They speak Russian language. They watch Russian TV. They celebrate Russian holidays. That's Russia. And you can see it's surrounded by Russia, and they want to be part of Russia because they are part of Russia, and they are Russians. And the U.S. has no business meddling in there. This is all about oil and that stupid deal. Hunter Biden and his dad and the big guy got millions of dollars, and they're in there after oil. Meanwhile, you're paying in some areas in this country almost $5 for a gallon of gas. And heating oil's out the frickin' roof because it is. Who cares, man? This could be a peaceful thing. You know, there's this picture floating around. And we don't need that fiber thing. I'll give you that really quickly, you know, because you're going to see this all over the news today. Might as well get the news first. I've always been ahead of the game, like for years. Where is that freaking thing? Yeah, here it is. This is from a YouTube channel, 12 News, covering it. This is the big story, the big bomb. You're going to be hearing all about that today. Russia attacks Ukraine, right? Meanwhile, you know, apart from the Biden family personally benefiting from this, and the oil companies benefiting from the price hike. See, people forget that when the price goes up, because the price doesn't really go up to them. They just get to raise the price because the markets raise the price, so they get a higher price for their product. That would be like somebody saying, you know, there's going to be a shortage of Coca-Cola and the price of a can of Coke goes up to like $3, right? Well, it doesn't cost Coke $3 to make it anymore. It's just the market's scarce, and people take advantage of the situation. I'm either drinking a fried bug in my coffee or I put too much instant Folgers in there in my coffee machine. I should have just made it the old-fashioned way. Yuck. I got nothing to put in there. Like, what do you put in coffee? I don't have any creamer or any of that stuff. I need something to make my coffee taste better. What do I put in it? Nothing. Yuck. And it's probably super caffeinated, too. Which will probably give me heart palpitations. I wonder my heart was feeling weird yesterday. But anyway, I'm going to continue on this, and I don't really want to because I'm a man of peace. That's the whole reason. But that's why it's got my goat, you know. And I don't think you understand this because there's nobody, and I mean nobody. A freaking guy didn't even know what the term. He goes, I don't even know what this means. Banana Republic thing means. And he's a lawyer, too. That's the thing. He's a Canadian lawyer. And he's, you know, hats off to him. He was the guy who was on the streets doing the 2-hour live videos walking the stretch of the trucker thing up there. So I admire the guy for his efforts. But, you know, the problem with this is the military-industrial complex needed to sell weapons. They needed to put position weapons and materiel and, you know, and troops in areas so that they could charge. You know, this is like a charge the U.S. taxpayers. So this is just increases our debt more. So now our taxes go up, our interest rates are sky high, inflation is out the roof, things are costing twice the price they should. People are going to get heating bills and gas bills that are going to just like freak them out before they even finish paying off their Christmas card charges. There's crime is rampant. 2 million people came into the country last year. And while we were all wearing masks and social distancing and being vaccinated, they were just taking them in right fresh off the border, not even swabbing their mouth or testing them for anything, putting them in planes and sending them all over the country to spread whatever they have. And, you know, they don't even get vaccinated for, you know, the old-fashioned diseases. where they're coming from. So this is all a front. This is money for the Biden family, money for the military contractors, money for the oil industry, and this is a big way for Biden to draw attention away from the fact that the economy's tanking in an election year. And that, as Bill Clinton said, it's the economy, stupid, and got elected. So all anybody running for the House, Senate, or whatever just has to say, it's the economy, stupid. But you know what? The people on the other side, the stupid Republicans, are just as stupid as the Democrats. They're all jingoing the war. Russia, Russia, Russia. Right? Just leave Russia alone. This is none of our business. We have no business over there. Who gives a shit? All right? And, you know, I hope nobody gets killed, but if they do, it's going to be some kind of, that's going to be the false flag murder. All right? Ukrainians will do that. Just like the Ukrainians knocked down the last time. This has been going on since the Biden administration. Remember that airplane was shot down? They tried to blame Russia. That wasn't Russia or so-called Russia separatist or anything like that. That was Ukraine trying to draw attention to it and attention away from the Biden deal. I just can't believe people don't know this when it's public knowledge now. All right? It's no longer hidden. They hid it before the 2020 election. It's understandable because that would have hurt the Biden campaign. I got to figure a way to make this coffee like palatable. And I'm trying to think. I have honey. You don't put honey in coffee, right? I just don't have any cream or cream-like substances. I have a non-dairy thing because I've been dealing with this gallbladder issue. What would you put in there? Coffee. A friend of mine used to come down and she used to drink, well, mainly tea. I don't think I have anything in there. I think there's cinnamon. That's about it. I don't think you put cinnamon in coffee. I have nutmeg. Who knows what that would do to it? Yeah. Can't even enjoy my beverage. We got a winter weather advisory here, and I got a pain in my side. It's saying now, as a winter weather advisory they announced like at noon, and it's showing Thursday 20% chance, like clouds and 20% chance, and pushing off everything. 100% chance of thunderstorms and rain tomorrow. And then a wind advisory Sunday. Yeah, great. And Monday it's going to be sunny and low of 21, low of 16 on Sunday night, low of 19 on Friday night. You know, like heart attack. Too much caffeine. Probably was a bug in there or something. I know, that's gross. It's ridiculous. Need something to get rid of that flavor. Or just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. So, yeah, I'm going to go in the kitchen, and the thing is, I can't make another cup because I would have to nuke it. It would take a minute. At least 60 seconds to get it warm. Oh, man. What am I supposed to do?
Oh, no.
I know. I forgot that was still on. But that's apropos to this. Yeah, look at this absurdity. See, the average person doesn't know this, And so, yeah, and the EU and NATO, they want Ukraine to be part of NATO so they could take. See, this really is a defensive move on Russia's part. I feel people understand that. Don't believe the media. Eastern Ukraine is Russia. Biden and contractors are in this for money and oil. I mean, it's plain and simple. That's the fact, Jack. And people who want to think otherwise are out of their frickin' minds. They don't pay attention. They read headlines or see what the Apple News app or Android News app or, one of these pundits on social media or traditional media say. Because, social media is just as bad. I've said this before, but I'm so tired of turning on some social media guy, the new media we used to call them in the older days. And what they're doing is they pull up on the screen a picture of what some other newspaper, mainstream newspaper or cable channel said, and then they criticize it. It's as bad as the guys on the nightly talk shows, so-called comedians. They're not comedians, doing a monologue where they're just doing character assassinations of people. That's humor? Making fun of somebody? Who cares if you disagree with them ideologically? I disagree with a lot of ideological things, but I don't make fun of the person and right? And I don't lie about anybody. I tell the truth. That's what we need. Like Lenin said, give me some truth, for crying out loud. We got no business being over there, just like we had no business going into Iraq. Right? Weapons of mass destruction. Colin Powell pulling up his personal vial of cocaine in the UN, trying to pretend that. Man. Banana republics. Down. Hey, think of how many coups the CIA conducted. Think of how many countries we've gone into. And we've got the audacity to say that. Look, it's just none of our business. Whether it's right or wrong, morally, ethically, whatever. No, that's not the question. The question is, as far as we know, what's coming out from Eastern Ukraine is that they are Russian people. They watch Russian TV. They speak Russian. They celebrate Russian holidays, and they consider themselves Russian. And if you see that whole area, it's Russia. It's surrounded by Russia. It's Russia. And these lines were drawn right back in the Soviet days, post-World War II. And this was a game being played, that it's socioeconomic geopolitics, something that the average person doesn't even understand. To them, I just said supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Right? Means about the same thing to the average American and Canadian and, other and European, right? EU person. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, right? Even though the name of it sounds quite atrocious. So how about socioeconomic geopolitics? Even though the name of it sounds quite atrocious. That's what's going on over here. Socioeconomic geopolitics. It's about money and oil, and it's about the Biden family and the contractors. And this is a big cover up for the fact that we're paying $5 for gas. Our prices have doubled, right? Inflation. They're saying, I saw this thing, and the guy was being critical, going, oh, it was actually somebody talking about how inflation is so high, the highest it's been in 40 years or something. I'm going, it's not 7%. It's 100% inflation in some areas. 100%. I went to buy some, things for my backyard garden for my raised beds, right? Some bags of, soil with fertilizer and things like that. It was like twice the price of last year. That's 100% inflation. It's not 7%. The guy said, well, price will double in a decade. I'm worried about a decade from now. I'm worried about this spring being able to buy soil for my garden. People aren't worried about a decade from now. People are worried about putting gas in this weekend in their big SUV. And then you say, well, you ought to electrify that, get an electric thing. Yeah, there's only one problem. Electric cars run on coal and natural gas. Because where do you think the electricity predominantly comes from in the U.S.? And there's always somebody out there in the crowd saying, oh, hydroelectric, and they'll draw these little pie charts and stuff. If you're near a dam somewhere, you're getting hydroelectric. But you're not getting solar and wind, and those white windmill bird-killing things that are falling. If it gets too windy, they fall over or spin so fast they burn, and they only last 10 or 20 years. And they've already been up about that, half that their life expectancy, and half of them are failing already. The ones that were put up years ago are already failed. There's literally windmill graveyards, ruined the landscape, ruined the highways, killed millions of birds in the U.S. Migratory patterns are totally destroyed, and people are driving an electric car thinking they're green. It's like, you're not being green. That electricity for that car is being brought to you by natural gas and coal. And this whole thing over here is causing the price of oil to go up, and that's only making the problem worse. And so this is runaway profit for the oil companies, because the price of oil for them didn't go up. They're just making windfall profits. The military contractors, well, their boards of directors forced them to do this, and forced the president to do it, and the Democrats and the Republicans in Congress. They said, hey, man, we haven't made money in about a year since we're out of Afghanistan and stuff. We need some flow, cash flow. You guys better start a war, figure something out. Why don't you do that Ukraine thing? Doesn't the Biden family own that country? Don't they? Doesn't Ukrainian president owe Biden some favors? Why don't you guys create something over there? Hey, everybody hates Putin. So Russia, Russia's they're white, You could go after them without get any blowback. No criticism from the media, right? Imagine if Russia was, a country of people of color, right? You see what I'm saying? This would be a whole different story. People would be outraged. They'd be going, well, Russians have a right, I'll tell you, we're living in such psychotic times that it's literally a world gone mad, and the facts are the facts, but nobody's speaking the facts. And in the coming days, you're going to see pictures of bombs going off. This was put out by, where this picture came from? Not from 12news.com, the way it says there. This 12 News put this up. This came from the office of the the Ukrainian president's office. It's a press photo, official photo from the press they released to the media. That's going to be on every TV station in America, as if it's our problem too. And if we would butt out of this situation, this would have just been a simple, I hate to use the word, annexation. You know what I mean? Like it or not, whether we agree with the socioeconomic geopolitics or not, it doesn't frickin' matter. Russia and Ukraine are not United States territories. And Ukraine is not even a part of the EU or NATO that we have any obligation to. All right? The only person in this persons in this country that have an obligation to Ukraine are the Biden family, because they received a lot of money from Ukraine. This is a blatant case of, them basically, the Ukrainian president going to Biden, hey, man, I did what you asked. Now you got to do what I asked. Look, Eastern Ukraine, there's nothing out there. I mean, there are some gas fields, I think. There's just let it go, man. That's in Russian territory. You see all that territory from Crimea all the way above, to almost the E in Ukraine at the top. All that white land and that water, that's Russia. So this area is deep in the heart of Russia to begin with. Like I said, the line should have never been drawn. There was so much crap going on at the time that this happened that nobody was paying attention to it because the Soviet Union was so big that when it finally broke up, all right, it was like it's like people weren't paying attention to what was going on in the Pacific Northwest till fairly recently. This coffee's horrible. Absolutely frickin' horrible. So it's like, I don't know what's going on. All I know is one thing. I just report those bots as pornography or sexually explicit material because they're certainly not going to say anything. They're not going to argue with YouTube on that. But anyway, so yeah, welcome back to the show that never ends and the wars that never end. So I just hope no American soldier, they don't sacrifice. Because, these military contractors and the federal government, they're dying. They really want to have an American casualty. Because then that would cement media coverage. So I hope to hell that we don't have any of our soldiers in harm's way whatsoever, and that every soldier out there, and that these people on the pundits on social media who are just reading the news from Fox and MSNBC and ABC and CBS, CNN. I said I'd never say that word again. I'd have to put a quarter in the jar. The fact of the matter is, I hope to hell they, we don't have any. I hope they warn U.S. troops to just stay out of this mess because they're itching. So the CIA, you got to watch the CIA, man. They're dirty. They're dirty as you could be. The guy didn't know what a banana republic was. Imagine that. Where the terminology came from. So I'm saying there's just too many fucking kids running the news media, government, and everything else. Even the good-intentioned ones. They just don't have any direct involvement with what went on prior to MTV. Right? They were born in an era where they didn't have, like I said yesterday, they weren't sitting nervously looking at their draft card and watching the lottery on national TV like a bingo game and worrying about their number coming up, right? And that they were going to be sent over, rotated over and have to deal with that crap. We had another place we had no business being in. And we basically, what was accomplished? What was accomplished? Right? What did we do this?
I can no longer sit back and allow communist infiltration, communist indoctrination, communist subversion, and the international communist conspiracy.
Yeah. The international communist conspiracy. There's people that think Putin's a communist. Oh, this coffee's horrible. It's giving me a pain in the left side of my body. Complete opposite. Of course, I have a pain in the back on this side, too. I don't know what that is. I'm dying.
Good morning.
This is a nightmare. It must be a nightmare.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
I was getting distortion on those things before, so I think I got the levels back. I hope I did. I'll find out today when I do the listen back. Anyway, that's that. So I guess I'm not going to, get too crazy about this today. I mean, the true marionettes are the media and politicians, and obviously they fell hook, line, and sinker for, the corporatocracy this time, right? And yes, it's hypocrisy for profit. Because anybody who claims they have the moral high ground in this situation, right, it's all pretense. But it's diversion. That's the thing that gets me. This is all just one big diversion away from the economy. Here's the thing, though. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? I mean, have they brainwashed people so much that everyone's going to be like, oh, war on TV? I have like some relative who's one of those like history war channel type of people, and probably is like digging this. Oh, war on TV. Those are people's lives. Those are people's buildings. Look how we destroyed like that whole Middle Eastern area, right? And it's like nobody talks about it anymore, right? You ever see the pictures of the mass destruction there? It's crazy. And those people aren't done with us. They'll, like I say, the CIA used to call it blowback. It's like, there's kids of people who lost their parents and stuff that are growing up that eventually they still got a lot of hate in their hearts against us for that. And the thing about it is, don't you think that Biden and his family should be sent over to Ukraine, right? Instead of like the troops from just, regular working class families? Like, I still say it should be the relatives and the kids of, everybody in Congress and the Senate and the White House. Those should be the first wave of people that go to any of these declared, conflicts or whatever they want trying to call this. But like I say, in this instance, we have no justifiable reason to be over there whatsoever. None whatsoever. Like I said, we're not in treaty. We have no treaty there. It's not NATO, which should have broke up after World War II. That's just another bureaucracy. And the EU, well, that's basically Greater Germany. That just shows that Hitler actually won World War II. All right, because EU was his blueprint for a Greater Germany. Research that. That's not a conspiracy theory. So it's like, it's what's that line? He lost the battle, but he won the war. That's really sad, pathetic. I hate to bring that up, but that's the truth. That's what the EU is. But Ukraine has nothing to do with any of that stuff. It's just a former Soviet, satellite. And that eastern part, that line should have never been drawn there. Okay, enough of that. All right, let's get into other stuff. So, let's get into more lies, too. I'll keep that up for people who came to this channel for some reason. I'm still trying to think if there's something I could put in this coffee to, like, make it better. Like, I don't know, maybe water it down somehow, or I don't know. Maybe just not drink it. I should probably just be drinking juice. I got into this coffee habit, you know. I have cranberry juice, but the problem is the sugars in that are out the roof. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go get some cranberry juice. So I'll be right back. And in the meantime, I'll just give you a little bit of Conspiracy of Ravens. I'll be right back. I just got to do something about this coffee. Me without glasses.
Conspiracy of ravens preying on the innocent like a murder of crows, bullying the wren and finch, stealing the food from the cardinal and blue jay. Only the robin and dove stand their ground. Plenty to eat for all of the creatures, even the chipmunk and the squirrel. The dark-cloaked flock invades the territory, taking what's not theirs and leaving the land barren. Opportunistic and
yeah, that's kind of what's going on right now, war-wise. That's one of my tunes. I got this cranberry juice instead. But it's got 23 grams of sugar in and 8 ounces of it. And I put it in here, my mug, which is probably a 12-ounce mug. Added sugars. And they say 100% juice. You see what I mean? This is the issue. So I really, this is the sad part about it, this diversion that's going on. So this country's going to be diverted, and I'm sure there's going to be some nefarious acts made to prolong this thing because the news media loves it because they get wall-to-wall coverage. And they've got people over there and their ratings are going to go up. Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia's the best thing that ever happened to these cable channels. But in the meantime, I just hope more people like me cut the cable and aren't going to watch it. And so I just brought this up just so, you know, maybe I should have just ignored it, but I had to. Somebody had to tell you the truth and show you the picture that you're not going to see. You see? It's important that you see that it's Russia all around there. And that understanding what they call them separatists. But this has gone back. This goes way, way back, man. You know, this goes through the Biden administration. I mean, not the Biden administration. Obama administration was dealing with this, but he was ignoring it. He put Biden in charge, and Biden ended up making deals for his family. So, yeah, it's actually disturbing to even see that. So, those of you who made it this far, we're 40 minutes into it. You heard a little bit of one of my songs. And now I think that's enough of that. It's kind of cold.
Hey, it's me. How you doing, man?
I guess, I don't know. I'm doing as good as could be expected considering I'm an aging human being in a country that seems to want to constantly divert our attention away from the problems that they cause themselves. And that these elected officials that are civil servants that are supposed to work for us think they're somehow like a ruling class, the ruling elite. And meanwhile, millions and millions of us are dying of things like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, type 2 diabetes. I mean, it's ridiculous. Just go to the CDC site and look at leading causes of death. I mean, it's pathetic. Oh, and our mortality rate, right, has dropped by close to 2 years since like leading up to like 1920 or 2020. It doesn't even include, this plague, which really has only affected, the 99 point, I think it's, what is it? Less than 99.6% of Americans haven't died from or won't die from. I mean, if you just say 99 plus, it's still a staggering figure to say, you mean for the past 2 years we went through all this stuff and you're telling me that over 99% of Americans didn't die from this thing? And most people would look at that and go like, they'd be shocked. No, you're wrong. I saw them. They said 700,000. There's 330 million people in this country. And, there's been some new releases from the CDC and numbers have been fudged and they held back information because they wanted people to do this. And apparently Pfizer, the most distrusted company leading up to this, has had the most profitable year, right? $37 billion, close to $40 billion in profit they made on this. That's just one of them. And Johnson & Johnson was sued for years of baby powder, had talc and stuff in there. I'm telling you, they've been, so health, and I'm a victim of health. I've had the cancer surgery, kidney surgery, kidney stones caused by diet, food, the stuff they're giving us. And now this new thing that's caused from, same old shit. So they're diverting attention. At least I don't drive. I got rid of my car. I moved to the outskirts of town and live off the land the best I can. I mean, it's not the greatest, but I'm hoping. This is why I don't want to get surgery, because basically I just want to get back into that. When the weather changes right now, if you look back there, it's a mess. I got to trim. It was so beautiful. That's 2 years ago, and it was even more beautiful last year. Last year it was like a paradise, like Garden of Eden. But right now it's just totally out of control. Because I got sick halfway through the summer last year. And, I'm dealing with these ailments now, but I'm trying to take some stuff. I'm trying to eat right. These sugars are not good. But you go to a grocery store and you want to buy like cranberry juice. And it says big. I could have brought the thing out, but then I would have to leave twice to put it back in the refrigerator and stuff. 100% juice. And like I say, I don't wear glasses normally. You saw I took them off just to go into the other room because I'm not a glasses wearer. So I go to the grocery store with a friend of mine. And she, anybody over the age of 40, you need reading glasses. She forgot hers. She didn't have hers with her either. She's over, So the two of us are trying to look at the label because, and we couldn't see. If I would have saw 23% sugars, and then it says 100% juice, and it's right, but it's not 100% juice. How could you have added sugars, and say it's 100% juice? It's not. And so there's cranberry juice, there's water, that's not juice. There's grape juice. Like, what's that doing in there? And I think there's some lime. So, they put all these juices, but it's like says cranberry juice. And then big under it, 100% juice. No additives. See, that's this, how they get you in a print that the average person could read without reading glasses, right? So you're looking and going, okay, cranberry juice, 100% juice, no additives. And you're thinking, okay, 100% cranberry juice with no added sugars or added anything, right? You bring it home, put on your reading glasses and read the label, and it's got 23 grams of sugar in it. And it's like water. It's watered down juice. Well, how's that 100% juice? 100% juice would be like if they said this is fresh squeezed orange juice or fresh squeezed lemon juice, right? That's 100% juice. So they have to go and do this to keep our attention away from that. So you have to think about it. There might be, unfortunately, some deaths there, and I think if they are, they'll be highly suspect. They'll probably be people that are sacrificed for the sake of the news media and the military-industrial complex and the alphabet agencies and the Biden administration, right? Any deaths are the responsibility of Joe Biden. This could have been just a peaceful annex. He could have told the president, proper thing would have said, look, you guys need to sit down and iron this out. Iron out this territory. This is an old issue. We'll be willing to be mediators in it. All right? If you want us to be, it's not our business, but we'd be willing to sit down and be mediators at the head of the table while you guys talk back and forth and figure out what you're going to do. That's how a problem like this would be handled. If I were in charge, that's what I would do. That's diplomacy. That's offering diplomacy. You figure it out. They could have had elections in that Donbass region in eastern Ukraine. There's so much sugar in this juice that it's actually hurting. It's like the tooth over here. It's like I'm feeling like like you're like eating into finding some nook and cranny in some slight hole that's probably going to cause me a fucking toothache later. And I can't get to a dentist. My dentist refuses to see me because she's some kind of freak. I had to have a tooth pulled because she wouldn't fill it. That's a whole nother story. So, yeah, you got to take care of yourself. That's the whole thing. I don't even know why I do these shows anymore other than I've got this set behind me. I tried, watch my two set, thing where I talk about peace, love, harmony, health, and understand and enlightenment. Nobody gave a shit. I watched the Unify thing, and it was like just the same people who've always believed in peace and love trying to push the thing. And somehow that organization's been somehow like infiltrated by some of these BLM and those type of people as well, which really was disappointing to me because those people are so angry and violent about stuff. They're like this. They're like what's going on over in Ukraine. In other words, they're not negotiable. They're not negotiable. It's like what happened up in Canada. Do you see what's going on with this country? That Trudeau could have came out and they could have sat down and said, let's iron out these grievances and see if they could have agreed that whatever they find, what their representatives came up with, that they would abide by, instead of like trampling over old women with horses and stuff. Money, wars for profit and oil. Nothing ever changes, man. It's the same old shit. You know? Same old shit. I mean, I hate to say it so bluntly, but, you know, I have to. Game over, man. It's game over. So eat healthy and hope for the best and pray for one another or meditate for one another and, you know, concentrate and hope that, hope that your buddy here doesn't die of a heart attack or a gallbladder attack or a pancreas attack, and that you don't either. And nobody else does. Because certainly Big Pharma doesn't have our best interest as far as health is concerned. The government doesn't have our best interest as far as health is concerned. They're just trying to, they're just salesmen for Big Pharma. Think about it. They're just selling, they're salesmen for Big Pharma. There's a line from Apocalypse Now that was taken from a book. They're they're errand boys for grocery store clerks. That's what Joe Biden is. That's what Nancy Pelosi is. They're errand boys for grocery store clerks. Right? I'll put that in the thing. Right? Politicians are errand boys for grocery store clerks. That was the big Marlon Brando line, Belton Road, they want less people on the roads. Well, there's not going to be a problem. I was just reading something by Trey. I started yesterday at the end of the show, and I'm going to continue that because this is part of that, but a lot of people don't know. This is something that a lot of people don't know. And that is that we have a problem right now on the planet where it's not population rise, but it's population decrease. So we don't have enough people on the planet right now. I mean, we're around 8 billion people. And as I said yesterday, if you're familiar with these kinds of charts, right now the population has been increasing almost exponentially. And it'll still go up a little bit, all right? But what's going to happen is that once it hits a certain point, it's going to take that nosedive. It's going to drop way down. And we're already even though we're in an upward incline right now. What's happening here, and I noticed the delay today isn't nearly like it was yesterday. Yesterday the delay was way crazy. But what's happening is even now, while we're still in an incline, all right, of population approaching 8 billion. So many people are aging, and so few people are being born and have been, born, over the past several decades, that there's not enough people to take their place. That's why, like, when they talk about 11 million unfilled jobs and stuff like that. And then there's all these people that just don't want to work. And then there's all these immigrants that come into the country and are just like on this welfare system and they're getting free money. And there's this general belief that people think, you can just it's all fake funny money anyway, and it's all digital currency, and it doesn't really matter. We'll just keep printing money and giving it to people, and they buy things, and it's a big circular thing. Well, let's examine that for a second. So, is that possible? Right? Because I think a lot of people, when they look at it, they go, well, yeah, it sounds sensible to me. Right? Makes sense. Yeah, why doesn't the Federal Reserve, just keep, buying treasuries, propping up the Treasury, the U.S. Treasury, the U.S. dollar, the stock market, right? Why don't they just keep indefinitely doing that and give more and more money to people, and the economy will be fine? Because what does it really matter? It's all been fiat currency when they were printing money, and now it's just digital funny money, right? Digital currency in the cloud. It's like Bitcoin. I mean, you kind of have to mine and earn Bitcoin, but it's all digital. Like I say, you get yourself a really good old-fashioned CME or a grid down situation, and you're screwed because you can't access. I'm having trouble accessing my wallet. I have a Bitcoin thing, and I can't access it now because the government's got its stinking rotten hands in it. And I noticed they want all kinds of information and show us your passport or your license, your other IDs and your face and all this stuff. And I actually tried doing it. I realized my passport expired too, so I don't have any current dated ID. But, I don't understand why an out-of-date passport would matter if it was, just a couple of years old. It's still a legal ID, right? I mean, I could see they can not letting you go to England with it because it's expired or something, but I don't see why it couldn't be used as an ID, right? It's got your face on it. It's got official number, and it would correspond with the digital copy that they have at the, whatever embassy or at the State Department or wherever it was issued, right? So it's a legal form of identification. But that doesn't matter. So I guess I don't, not like I have much Bitcoin. But I might have something in there. I might have a couple $100. I don't know. But power goes out, doesn't matter. ID or no ID, you can't get it. So what are people going to do? Like in some of these South American countries, they barter already. Because it's gone on for so many years now down there. That their currency became worthless. That they eventually, after a couple of years, got into the barter system. So they have kind of organized bartering going on. It's an accepted way to go to market. What do you have? Right? And so people say, well, I have this, I have that. Maybe that's one reason why I should hang on to some of this stuff that I have. Because I could, times get tough, I could put out a table and say, we'll barter for, toilet paper, soap, whatever. And put out a bunch of weird electronic things and stuff. I don't know. course, who wants electronics if the power grid goes down, right? I mean, I don't care because I've got backup power. They're hiding all this stuff from us, how fragile everything is, and how sick everybody is, and how the population is basically imbalanced right now. And in the coming years, it's going to get worse. They lied about climate change, and now they don't know what to do about that. As I said earlier, they lie about the electric car because technically it's run on coal and gas. Mostly natural gas, predominantly produces electricity. But yet they're like closing pipelines and opening up these areas. Even though there were more stringent rules put on things like fracking and stuff so that, they had to sequester, the water and different things like that and stuff. Because initially it was bad, right? And there were people suffering, and I think people died because the process was getting into water supplies, that public water supplies where people were getting their water. But that's, that was, well over a decade ago or more, maybe 2 decades ago, but at least over a decade ago. It's like I always try to talk about energy in the U.S., why the Paris talks and those talks in Scotland and stuff were meaningless for the U.S. Because we have clean air and water for the most part, and we have Energy Star appliances. In other words, our devices that most of us use are very low wattage. I showed yesterday that thing I used to keep my coffee warm was like a 12 watts. This new chip, the Apple M1 chip, I think is a 5 watt, like a 5 watt, as opposed to chips of comparable speed and power. Processing power are like 125 watts. The original G5 computer from Apple was a 200 watt machine. When you turned it on, it was like having 2 100 watt bulbs on. So if your machine was on all day, that's like 2 100 watt bulbs. Your electric bill was out the roof. That's just one machine. Forget about your monitor. You're using a cathode ray tube back then, right? Sorry to adjust my chair. But now we've got LED and all these other, low watt televisions, low watt monitors, low watt smartphones, laptops, devices, even heaters. And so that's what that whole Energy Star thing is, But that's why everybody should have personally, and I push that stuff, and it's like, I'm not going to keep this bomb thing up here. But what I am going to put up is my, whether people like it or not. Well, first of all, this is just something because of health. I just want to get this out of the way because I talk about this all the time because it's a topic. So this is the people ask, what foods are good to eat when your gallbladder is acting up? Low-fat foods, minimally processed foods, plant proteins, vegetables and fruits, sprouted nuts and seeds, whole grains, legumes, lean meat, and fish. Now, it doesn't say anything about sugar there. You notice? But you can go somewhere else where I'll tell you. Because there's a lot of sugars in fruits, obviously. And, grains or certain things like that. And there's a lot of low-fat foods that are high in sugar. Like I believe this juice, I think, has no fat in it. But that's just another one of those things that, you know, they don't want to tell us the truth about. They really don't care about our health. And, you know, they should be thinking about longevity and quality of life because anyway, so I have this thing, Great Solar Stuff. I'm just going to put this up here in this voidoid right now since there's nothing going on up there right now. Right. And the reason I'm putting it up there is because on there, what I tried to do is I list... Did I accidentally... Oh. This thing is so damn sensitive. What I try to do is... I have to move this down or it's going to get cut off the top of the screen. It's so weird how all this stuff works. Trust me. Plus the trucks. You won't be able to see the trucks. Everybody should have at least 1 or 2 solar panels. You know, and just a fairly, you know, and I have them on Great Solar Stuff. They have these foldable ones, you know. You don't have to have it permanent. So, in fact, it's better off that you have them, that you keep it in your house in a place. It's going to get less wear and tear on it, weathered and all that kind of stuff. But the idea is that when you need to charge a device, if you have a grid down situation, just a power outage of some kind, you can pull this out and in tandem with this thing back here, this jackery, all right, that's running like my on-air light up above, that you'll be able to plug in things. And that's the type of stuff you should be thinking about, just like you should be thinking about your diet. Because the government is like, they don't care. Big Pharma doesn't care. You know, they just don't care. I mean, if you have money to waste, you know, you could get an electric car and one of those Tesla power packs in the garage. And he even has bought out Solar City and you could put on one of those Tesla roofs. I mean, I'd love to do, I have a bad roof. I'd love to replace it with a Tesla roof, with one of those roofs where the panels themselves, the shingles, whatever you want to call them, are actually solar panels, but they look like the traditional kind. You know, I wish Elon Musk would do that. He probably blocked me because I asked him the other day about gallbladder research, and I put a thing about that Unify, and that when I watched the Unify thing, I was kind of semi-disappointed. I was disappointed in the amount of people that got involved, but I was disappointed in that some of the people involved, like I was trying to say before, were people that weren't really true pacifists. Like when I noticed on their video, they had like a BLM protest. And those things have been anything but peaceful. And so true peace is all of us getting together, including BLM, and saying, like I was trying to say before about this, and it's too late now for here, but it's like, you know, you sit down and you work it out. You know, it's like any problem. And then later, maybe if you can't come to terms, you know, then you deal with situations, you know. But hopefully you don't have to get to a place where the situation where someone has to like put on restrictions, restraints, and, you know, choke off, you know, people from things that hurt the common person in a country as opposed to the big players. It's like I always say, you know, wars should be fought the way they were in the old movies, because, you know, or the olden days. The king should be, you know, leading the charge, right? if the king's going to declare war, then let the king be out there on a horse right in front with a sword. So if Biden wants to declare war on Russia, basically that's what he's doing, then he should be over there in military garb right on the front lines. And these military contractors, the first people who are sent over should be the sons and daughters of politicians and military contractors and those kind of people. And the higher-ups, generals, and people at the Pentagon, whether they're enlisted or not, they should be the people over there. The so-called, the first wave of people, they try to say they're just advisors or something. We'll send them over there, and they can hand out bottles of water or whatever they pretending they're doing. But enough of that. That's just the absurdity. It's cold in this house right now. And I don't know why it is. Because it's one of those weird things. The temperature outside is 27 degrees. There's this major winter storm coming. Yeah, this year really, not this year, but the past several years have really blown these climate activists out of the water. That's another reason why we're over in Ukraine, because all their lies have come to roost, home to roost. Right? The truth came out about Russia, the Clinton-Russia lies. The Clinton campaign created that whole thing, and they got busted. The Biden thing finally came out. It's just the media still won't cover that laptop or any of that stuff, right? The economy's totally trashed. We were energy independent 2 years ago, and now we're like Biden administration's begging the Saudis to give them more oil, right? The economy was like booming, and now it's not. And now we find out that the CDC held back information because they thought it would Biden or Pfizer wouldn't sell as many of its, injections. And yet Pfizer made all this money. Big Pharma profited on this thing. I mean, so many lies have been exposed that they just went back to their good old faithful. When things get completely out of control in the White House and in Congress, go to war. Draw people's attention away. And have a big bomb like I showed you. A picture of a big bomb going off. Or, God forbid, sacrifice a few U.S. soldiers. That will get the Americans all riled up. You see? That's what I'm afraid of is going to happen. And I hope I'm wrong. I do not want to be proven right with that. But man, if history has we've learned anything from history, that's what's next on the table. They are going to somehow sacrifice find a way to sacrifice some Americans, so that they can get the American people behind this. Say, see, the Russians killed Americans. We're at war with Russia now. 23 grams of sugar in cranberry juice, 100% juice. You would think you were drinking like a Coca-Cola or something like that, right? And like, what is the sugar? I mean, sugars are so carcinogenic and have so many bad side effects that you have to wonder that any benefits from the cranberry juice, which is supposedly good for your liver and kidneys, but that any benefit from it is like totally ruined. But their attitude is we got to sweeten it up so people could take it. See, when I was younger, you used to be able to get cranberry juice from like Ocean Spray. I think I bought Ocean Spray, like that company that advertised, shows the guys knee, like waist deep in cranberries soaking and stuff. And it's like, But, people today, you got to put sugar in it because they're babies. It's a Peter Pan culture. And don't call me that name. I need to, grow up, man. Get thicker skin. But yeah, that whole thing. So that's the generation that's taking over for the older generation, the aging population. Which is one of the reasons the population is still high right now, is because we have a lot of people living, in their 90s. But as unfortunately as those people, pass on, there's not the numbers to replace them. And the ones that have replaced them are just not working. We don't teach skills in school. We teach politics and ideology, indoctrination. Kids come out of school and they want to be a protester, right? Then they turn the college into some kind of business so that people have like $50,000, $60,000 student loans minimum. I mean, it's no wonder they want to cut out my gallbladder, because the doctors need, doctors have like in 100,000, a couple 100,000 in fees, depending on the schools they go to, in loans, plus interest. So yeah, they're charging, operations $40,000, $80,000, for things like that. When I said yesterday, they've got pills, they've got potions, they've got techniques that they could just dissolve these things if they wanted to. And they know what the composition of things are, so they could easily in a lab, give me a couple $1 million and a couple of research scientists in a lab somewhere, and I'll come up with a pill that dissolves gallstones. All right? Or something it may have to be an invasive procedure. We may have to stick something into the inject something directly into the gallbladder itself, right? To get it directly to the spot to work effectively. But it would be like one of those big needles you see, for I don't know, is it not adrenaline or whatever? Somebody has a heart attack or whatever, and they pound that thing through their chest or whatever, get through the breastbone with it. But you would need a long needle like that, with a camera or something, using one of those sonograms or whatever they call that. And so they could guide this thing in and just inject this into the gallbladder, and it would just dissolve those things. And you would take some oral drink or be in an IV so that it would flush your system. And you might have, worst case, bowel movements for a couple of days, and you'd be done. But see, I like, they say when there are all these various non-procedures, but they say only in cases where we can't do it for some reason. And what happens is they usually return. Well, that's because the idiot decides to eat, wants to go and eat at McDonald's a couple times a week and sit at home and eat, DiGiorno pizzas. I don't care about that. I know how I got gallstones. Most gallstones are for women. Women are the majority of gallstone sufferers, and gallbladder removals are with women. Men get them because if you lose weight, I told you, I gained some weight because I was sitting at a computer for 12 hours a day and stuff. And it just went on. That's why I retired and got out of that business, because it was against my health. I was having health problems from sitting at a computer all day long. And anyway, and I tried I get the exercise bike in my place and stuff, and I try to take breaks doing that stuff. But I was tethered, because I had to deal with people calling and had to be close to the computer. It wasn't something like I could go out and get my steps in and handle with a smartphone. No, I was running things, and had to be able to upload things to servers and do stuff. It was stuff that you couldn't do from a smartphone. So I was stuck. I was literally trapped 12, 16 hours a day. My office was I had no living room in my house. My living room was turned into an office. So it was like work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, go to the hospital. But it's like now I don't really care about that. So it's like, no, I eat salads. I showed you my food the other day. I don't care. I enjoy a good salad. But yeah, the sugars thing is crazy though. War is crazy. This whole materialistic society is crazy. The idea you got to buy a computer every 2 years or you can't operate software. You can't play in the reindeer games. It's nuts. So the whole thing is coming to a head and people are totally clueless about it. There are people living in houses, in neighborhoods, these houses that the end comes to what they call a cul-de-sac. And they've got 2 and 3 car garages, multiple cars, kids in college or graduated from college or in high school, right? They have good jobs. They make, 6 figures. And they're living this life with all, nice furniture and all, the sit-down lawnmower and all that kind of stuff. And they have no idea what's coming down the pike. No idea whatsoever. Their credit card debt's just going to creep up as they fill their cars with gas at these higher prices. When they start getting their monthly bills, they're just going to be a little bit higher and higher. They go to the grocery store to buy it because they live well, and their families are used to certain kind of meals. So buying those meats and different things, the price is going up. And suddenly they're going to start looking at their, at the end, get towards the end of the month and go, whoa. Our bank account, our credit, we're paying more interest on our credit rate, credit cards, higher payments there, higher payments here, higher payments there. And then everybody passes on their payments. That's the other thing they do. Right? They pass their payments on to us. So when a company gets a tax increase or a price increase or a cost of materials increase, they pass it on to us. So prices go up. I mean, nobody really talks about it because people don't talk about like the Dollar Tree and stuff. I do. I mean, I go there any chance I get, almost once a week if I have the opportunity, but at least every other week. But it's not the Dollar Tree anymore. It's a $1.25 tree. 25% inflation there. Right? $1 to $1.25. That's 25% inflation. Right? It's a quarter, right? A quarter of a dollar raise. Increase in price, that's 25%. Price of soil's double. Price of gas is up like 33% or something like that. So that's 33% inflation. Price of meat, I think in many areas, steak, and I don't buy steaks and stuff, but people say they've doubled or even got more than that. I noticed canned goods and stuff because I buy little canned goods because I'll occasionally make a soup or even in a salad, I'll just pour in some things just to give it some substance, to add a little bit more to it than just the greens. You know, chickpeas are good for you. They're healthy. You know, I used to get like little cans of those, the smaller cans, you know, not the big tall cans. And used to be able to buy those cans. You know, I used to get little cans of sauce because I'm just one guy for 39 cents, or a can of tomato paste. You know, those small, thin cans of tomato paste. 39 cents, something like that. Small canned goods were like 59 cents, right? 49 cents, 2 for $1 type of deal. And now the 39-cent cans are like 69 cents. And, you know, that's like 40% increase or something. So I don't know where they get this 7% like inflation rate. And see, you can lie to somebody. And they sit there, and I know people are, you know, they just watch this and they're watching Whoopi Goldberg or whomever the heck it is. And they're telling them all this stuff. Well, things are good and the Russians are bad and we need to do this because we got to stop. It's not, no, we don't. We don't live in Europe. There's an ocean between us. It doesn't really frickin' matter. Right? It's their problem. It is a problem, and it may be a problem, and there may be people over there that, you know, are going to be victims of this, that, the other. But what are we supposed to do? What we should have done was offered two diplomatic solutions, but we didn't. Instead, the president kept saying, and the president of Ukraine warned him, kept saying, oh, they're going to go to war. And he said, well, stop pushing this thing. And if the president would have had any balls, he would have got on the phone last week or the week before and called Putin direct. They have a direct line. They have that like hotline, right? I think they have that still left over from the Cold War. Don't they still have that? They don't. They should. Well, they do. They have ways. Diplomatic channels are open. And he should have called him and said, look, man, we got to talk about this. You and me, let's work this out. Right? Why didn't he do it? Because he couldn't. He needed this is a political game. Do you understand? That's strength. That's political leadership. The president of the United States could have called Putin on the phone and said, we need to sit down. We need to meet in, some neutral territory. Oslo or something. They could have had a secret meeting, you know? You could have called them and said, hey, we got to get together and talk. And then they could have released the video and the speeches of it after the fact so that, you know. But he didn't do it because he didn't want to do it because there's too much pressure from the military contractors, his involvement with Ukraine and his son's involvement with that oil company, and the fact that the Democrats needed a major diversion because it's a, midterm election year, and on every front they're losing. And they're hoping. But what I'm trying to tell you is, facts are facts, So as far as I'm concerned, it's Russia is Russia. And the U.S. has no business. When I say give it to them, it's like Ukraine has no choice. All right? Ukraine's Ukraine, whatever. And like I say, and Russia's Russia. Ukraine is not a part of NATO and is not a part of the EU, so NATO's got no business protecting them, and neither does the EU. The US has no interest in there. So they put some sanctions on it. Russia, that's going to become Russia, and If Russia's smart, they'll just build some kind of giant fence and wall around it. I guess that's the era that we're in. Doesn't matter. The whole house of cards of this planet's going to fall apart in the next couple of years anyway. Major grid down situations, population problems, health issues, supply chain, everything else. It's ridiculous what's going on and how people just don't seem to care. And that's why I'm saying, you think I'm trying to sell stuff, solar things. It's like, no, you need to get a solar panel or two and a power backup. Because we're hard times, and you need to get seeds, and you need to learn to grow stuff. It's pretty easy. I had kale in my salad 2 days ago that I was grown in my back porch closet. A friend of mine came down yesterday, and I gave her like a kind of little bag of cilantro that's grown. It's grown better in my closet than it was growing outside. Cilantro. Just growing indoors. I've got oregano growing indoors. I've already gotten probably a dozen of what are they? Not beets, but radishes. Dozen radishes out of in the house grown. I grow catnip for my cat, and I'm growing garlic and onions, which are, I can't believe it, man. It's sick. I don't know what to do about it. I just put them in there for the heck of it, and suddenly the things on them got this big. So I've got to rearrange and get control of that area. But I need bags of dirt. See, you need soil. And the price of soil's doubled, so that's 100% inflation. So getting back to this conversation, because I was talking about inflation, population, and stuff like that, we don't have the people to work to do the job. So forget about Build Back Better and forget about Save America. See, that's the other thing. Don't think, because it's the same issues are going to be affecting us. We may be able to, the Save America campaign wave perhaps might be able to get the oil prices down. All right? But you're not going to deal with the other problems we have in the infrastructure, okay? And the fact that we don't have the workforce anymore. People are getting old and younger people don't have the skills. And it would take a generation or two to build back better that type of thing. But we don't have that long because, as you see, nobody knows how to cook or prepare meals or what to do with themselves. So the moment there's something crazy goes on, there's instantly this opportunistic looting or smash and grab crap. Well, how many times can you smash and grab and opportunistic loot these neighborhoods and these cities and burn these buildings down until there's nothing left but a Mad Max world? Do you see? So we don't have time to educate, a generation or two to learn how to work in the trades and stuff like that. And we got a bunch of deadbeat college kids, right, with degrees and big debts who all they're worried about is getting free money and having their loan forgiven. That's what I was trying to say about the money thing, is that you don't understand. It's like where you keep printing this digital currency or digitally publishing this digital currency. But the idea is, what happens if the power goes out? Or what happens if this war, what happens if this escalates into a nuclear war somehow? And people think that's not possible? When one of those idiots that they had at the Pentagon was asked about limited use of, is the U.S. considering use of limited nuclear weapons? And he said, everything's on the table. You think the news media would have they should have snapped on that and that should have been front headline news the way they do everything else, General, Pentagon official says even nukes are on the table. Because that's basically what he said. Maybe people would think twice. Or is it like I'm trying to say, this Peter Pan culture, these people in the, who are from running society now, these 20-somethings to 40-somethings, they're not old enough to understand the fear of nuclear war. They don't even understand that. They don't know, they don't understand, that it's what mutual assured destruction is, MAD. They think that's something like Mothers Against Drunk Driving or something. Oh, MAD, yeah, I know, we had a MAD thing. I was part of that when I was in high school. I was part of MAD. No, not that. We're talking not Mothers Against Drunk Driving, okay? We're talking about mutually assured destruction. End of the world, over. While the elite go like, and it was interesting to see, what's her name? 4:25 a.m. Eastern Time, my brain. With all that sugar, it should be operating better, though. The woman who should have been president of the United States from Hawaii. Can't believe I actually have to look it up. By the time I look it up, it'll come to my mind. New window. Hawaii Congresswoman who ran for president, Tulsi Gabbard. Somebody else asked the question because they freaked out too. But she said it. She mentioned that. The idea that like people don't understand. You're talking nuclear war. It's the end of civilization. And she mentioned that the elite think they're going to be safe. They'll just go into their bunkers. It's cold in here. See, that's the other thing that people don't understand in this country. Like, I have natural gas heat here, and so I guess everybody in this neighborhood does, I imagine. I don't know if oil is legal anymore. Like they used to, pour oil into oil tanks. Now, I know some people have propane heaters, and I do sometimes in the wintertime smell this, like a fireplace type of smell or wood-burning stoves. Some people there might be a couple of those around. I wish I had one. But, so they want to get rid of these, like, pipelines. And, we're back into cycles. And this is, we've cycled back to the classic 70s, 1970 cycle. It's like a 50-year cycle, I think. It seems from my lifetime. 40 years, 40-some years ago, 45 years ago, maybe. It's like there's a cycle that's around that time. Weather-wise, temperature-wise. I mean, everything's a cycle. You got this. I was thinking about when I was waking up, because I woke up real early today. Cat was going after my face again. I don't understand that. It's like right in my face. Why is it doing that? I have to look that up. Yeah. Let's look it up now just for the hell of it. It won't take long. Why does my cat get in my face? Let's see. Why do cats get in your face while you sleep? Cats get close to our faces as a way to show us they trust us and are making sure we know it. Sea cats mark their favorite people with their own scent. This is a comfort to cats to tell any other animal that this is pretty important and a sign that the cat loves you. Well, it's not like it's sleeping in my face. It's just like bringing it, because it does it not just when I sleep. Immediately tell if we're injured or sick, learn a degree of our emotional state, understand who or what we've come in contact with recently by our smell, tell if its own scent markings are fading. See, that's the one I've been scared of, because it's a recent phenomenon. Immediately tell if we're injured or sick. Great. My cat lately's been doing that, even when it sits on my lap. So it's like somehow knows I've got some problems, man. I just hope I can cure these things on my own through health and diet. You know, I mean, I don't know. Look at me. I look fairly healthy, right? I mean, you know. I've lost a decent amount of weight. I'm not really extremely overweight. I get exercise. I don't over exercise. I eat ridiculously healthy, except when I have to be forced to buy something that has like 23 grams of sugar in it. I can't believe it. I put some of that in my cereal today, you know, because I have like whole grain oats and shredded wheat, you know, just bland shredded wheat with nothing in it, you know, a high fiber diet with blueberries. But now I realize between drinking a cup of that and a little bit I put in there, it's like I probably got like 30 grams of sugar. So I have to like avoid sugar like the plague today. I don't know. What's the maximum amount of sugar? I'll bring you along on this journey because I don't want to keep doing this stuff by myself. Just curiosity. You're here, you know. It's like, it's the classic thing, you know.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
What is the maximum amount of sugar per day? The AHA suggests an added sugar limit of no more than 100 calories per day, about 6 teaspoons or 24 grams of sugar. For most men and women, 150 calories per day is 9 teaspoons or 36 grams of sugar for most men. There's no nutritional need for benefit that comes from eating added sugar. 50 grams of sugar. In contrast, U.S. dietary guidelines advise people to limit their intake to less than 10% of their daily calorie intake. For a person eating 2,000 calories per day, this would equal 50 grams of sugar, or about 12.5 teaspoons. Imagine that. If you're healthy and active, these are reasonable recommendations. That's because of the pressure from the sugar industry. So it's like, too bad today's like this ridiculous thing. How much sugar is too much? American Heart Association. Let's see. See what they say. Trying to find a number. Beverages are the leading source of added sugars, 47%. Soft drinks. How does the body react to so much sugar? Products. It's tempting to look at alternative sugars as magical solution. Products made with honey, maple syrup, coconut, high fructose corn syrup, blah, blah, blah. Don't be fooled. Your body sure isn't. Too much sugar is too much sugar. So that means I probably shouldn't even be eating honey. Though they say honey's good for you. Men should consume no more than 9 teaspoons, 36 grams, or 150 calories of added sugar per day. And the American Heart Association, like a lot of these other places, is also influenced by the pharmaceutical, big pharma, to say these kinds of things. So I've already surpassed my daily intake of sugar. And that's assuming, right, that I would be able to exercise today. And today's one of those days where I won't be able to exercise. I mean, apart from going up and down stairs in my house and stuff. So I don't have a car, and there's this ridiculous storm warning, which I should have while we're at it. I'll just look really quick. See if I can get some kind of some kind of number when this storm is coming. I've been getting warnings on my Echo Dot and on my phone. And it's taking forever for these. The internet isn't even as good. And I have a high connection. I pay for a high connection. Okay, let's look at the hourly. It's 26 degrees. According to this, rain, freezing. See, here's the other thing. The one said it was supposed, when I asked the weather this morning, it said snow. Okay? Now it's saying, and this is the nightmare that I have to deal with. I go to bed, I'm definitely asleep by frickin', 8 o'clock. Because I get up real early. So rain and freezing rain starts at 8 and it goes all through the night straight into the morning. Rain all night long, 1 a.m. Which means I'm going to have to Which means I'm going to have to get up and go up in my attic and deal with this crap. So 1 o'clock in the morning, like every 2 hours, I will get no sleep tonight. See, this is the stress that's causing me this thing because oh, wait, but I'm going down to the grocery store after the show today. I got to walk before the storm. Good. Thank God. Thank God. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I'm going to be able to go to the grocery store, and that's exercise, because it's not going to rain at 7 a.m., according to this. And we were supposed to have this ridiculous snowstorm that started this morning, and apparently that's been pushed back. Now, tonight's going to be a nightmare. I'm going to lose sleep. So today I'm going to go to the store, and I'm going to try to buy the healthiest things under the sun. And come back and have a healthy meal and hope for the best. Yeah. I'm going to buy everything today. And I might even still have a delivery. But maybe not. Depends on how much I can carry. I have to get the healthiest frickin' things there are. I just wish they would be consistent, on like telling you what you should eat and shouldn't eat, and that's the problem. It was the same with this whole plague the past couple of years. It's like, look, I have no problem them telling dirty people to wash their hands. I always washed my hands. I've said this before. it was almost sadly laughable that they said wash your hands. Because I was brought up in a family where it was like, wash your hands, right? Get up in the morning, wash your face and hands, get dressed. If you didn't take a shower at night, some people take showers every in the morning, some people take showers at night. But either way, if it was a shower at night thing, usually we were a shower at night because kids get dirty during the day, and and so you put on your clean pajamas and on your clean sheets and sleep clean in a bed. So in the morning you got up and you washed your face and hands. And you washed your hands before you ate. You washed your hands after you went to the bathroom. You washed your hands when you came in from the house, if you were out playing in the yard or doing some kind of thing. So I had a laugh when they said, first thing on their list, wash your hands. It's like, okay. Then they had social distance. It'd be like, I didn't really have a problem with that in this, other than the fact of like, it was like underkill. Because to me was when you caught a flu, no matter how mild or how bad, the idea was you basically stayed at home, which brings the mask thing in and takes that into a whole different perspective. Because the point was, if you're sick, don't go outside at all. Forget about social distancing. You know what I mean? Stay in bed. It was like the classic picture with the guy with the, the compress on the head, the thermometer in the mouth, right? And the covers up to his neck, right? Take 2 aspirins every 4 hours, right? And if it gets worse, call the doctor. Give him some chicken soup, right? Feed a cold, starve a fever. But I accepted that. And yeah, I can imagine. So if for some reason in an emergency situation you were sick and you were sneezing and coughing and you had to go outside in public, yeah, wear a mask. So all that stuff was fine and dandy with me. I didn't care. I mean, some of it was laughable, particularly the wash your hands, because it's like, who doesn't wash their frickin' hands? And like I say, why are you going out social distancing? If you're sick, stay at home, man. But like, that's fine. But where was part 2? Where was the second sheet, right? I mean, they were on stage every day telling you the same frickin' things. Well, part 2 should have been eat this, eat that. But see, they don't want to give us nutrition. And when you go on the internet, on Google or whatever, DuckDuckGo, it doesn't matter where you search, and you go to these university hospitals or the Mayo Clinic or, it doesn't matter, from Cedars-Sinai to Johns Hopkins to Columbia Presbyterian to the Mayo Clinic to the Cleveland Institute or Cleveland, some of the best, finest hospitals and places of medicine, Harvard Medical. You go to these websites, and those are the only places I would even consider like going to, right? I'm not going to go to Healthline or WebMD. Those are commercial sites. But they all contradict themselves. And I've shown that side by side on this show months ago when I first started developing these problems. The contradictions. Should you eat this? And one side said, eat this. This is good for your gallbladder and if you have gallstones. And then you go to the other site and it said, don't eat that. This was no good for you. Well, what am I supposed to frickin' eat? I saw some doctor, in Scrubs say don't eat grains. But everywhere else it says eat high fiber and whole grains. Now, did he mean grains as in just raw flour grains? I mean, what is, right? And why are the stores selling things when the American Heart Association is saying you shouldn't have this much sugar? And that's an 8-ounce portion, the 30 in there, on the bottle. If it wasn't the end of the show, I'd go in and get it. But it's like, I'm ending the show. It's the end of the show. Tomorrow, I'm going to have to continue this because this is all we're going to talk about. I mean, obviously the news is just going to be filled with this kind of horse pucky, right? But don't believe the media. Eastern Ukraine is Russia. Biden and contractors are in this for money and oil. Okay? Accept it. Deal with it. Accept it. We know it.
Good morning.
You know it. You know it. Anyway, I added, see the new hat I have? They call that the bucket hat. I'm getting one of those. You could get any of my sayings on there. And even though that's not the ROCKFLUX, globe, I might adjust that logo where I have the lightning strike maybe coming down the left side or the right side. But either way, I'm getting one of those bucket hats for when I work out in the garden. That looks cool. They're only like $16, I think, or something like that. Visit rockflux.com. There's links to all that stuff there. And if they kick me off this channel, I'll be on Rumble. And my videos are also on Rumble under ROCKFLUX. I'm ROCKFLUX there too. Okay? So when you hear this thing, wherever it is, I just play it for you just so you remember.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
Well, in this case, this show's over. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, listening, whatever, however you listen to this show. And we'll continue this conversation tomorrow. And stay healthy and warm and all that stuff. And hopefully there'll be no stupid mistakes made over in overseas. Take care.